Hi, this is Dr. Les, and welcome to another episode of I Bought a Farm. So now what? Today is August the 3rd, and out here checking the heifers and doing a grass inventory. I haven't been out personally and looked at the heifers in a while. The landowner, of course, checks them every day, but I just haven't been out here for a few days. Just wanted to get a good look at them. And then get a good look at the grass and to finalize our plan going into the fall. Hopefully the heifers look good. Hopefully the grass is going to hold out a little bit longer. We did have 2.5 inches of rain last week, and so the pond's full. The grass has had the ground has had an opportunity to get a little moisture, and that should help a little bit with grass. But we're entering the season that's typically pretty tough to get much growth out of cool season grasses, and so we've got to try to plan, do a little bit of math to see how far we can stretch these pastures before our winter feeding period begins. Little video of the heifers. Beautiful morning out here today. About 72, 3 degrees. Heifers hanging out in the shade, just kind of ruminating and just hanging. Came out to look at flies, just see how they were doing. Got a few more flies popping up on them, so I'll probably try to get them sprayed here toward the end of the week. Otherwise, heifers are doing fantastic. Probably lost a little bit of weight during that intense heat period that we had, but still in great body condition. We're probably averaging a body condition score 5.5. No eye problems. G150 right there laying down. She's got a few, looks like, I don't know, 10 to 15 face flies, so we're going to have to get out here and get them sprayed again pretty quick. It's been about a month since we sprayed them, so that's not surprising. But anyway, heifers look great. Probably going to have to move them here pretty soon. This is the paddock one on the east side, and you can see they've hit a pretty good look out of it. Okay, we were out here with Dr. Jimmy not too long ago, and we had 12 to 18 inches, and we're down to 8 to 10 inches of usable forage up on this east side. They've been through that Johnson grass pretty heavy, and we'll go through that and look at that in just a second. But on the west side, down near the barn, grass is really thin, and we'll look at that here in just a second as well. Dr. Jimmy talked quite a bit about heat stress the other day in our last video. It's 72 degrees today. These cattle are in the shade. We should see no signs of heat stress in cattle that aren't consuming endophyte infected fescue and or have other reasons, because it's literally the perfect temperature day for cattle. And I just want you to look out over this group and notice that some of these heifers still have some hair on them, and in particular this gal right here, G119. She's pretty long haired. Her hair's down, or her head is always down, and she always seems to be in some level of heat stress. You can't see it now that the other heifer's kind of bunched in up on her, but her respiration rate is high. She's slobbering just a little bit, and she is heat stressed on a day where these heifers shouldn't be heat stressed. And then I look here at 369, the heifer that just came into the screen. She seems as comfortable and as happy as can be. Same thing here with 368, and neither one of those heifers have their hair coat left. So either they're not as impacted by the endophyte, or since they don't have winter coats on, their heat stress load is less, and it's probably a combination of the two, right? So these two heifers, Big Red back there, Several others have shed out completely and are enjoying a nice, beautiful day today, versus other heifers seem to be stressed a little bit more. Now, that heifer right there, 353, the one standing right behind the baldy, she has about half of her hair coat left. Doesn't seem to be respirating, doesn't seem to be doing anything but ruminating and kind of enjoying the day. So it's a little bit spread out. That might indicate that it's just an individual heifer issue with some of these heifers. But I'm curious about, curious about some of this. I'm going to continue to watch these heifers. But there's definitely some heifers that are you can see the impacts of heat stress more on, and a lot of it has to do with that hair coat. And we need to come up with nutritional regimens or other regimens to help these cattle shed better. This was a huge patch of Johnson grass here in the middle of paddock 1. So the heifers are up there. We were just up there a second ago. Here's the nasty pond down here that we fenced off. And right there was this huge patch of Johnson grass when Dr. Jimmy and I came out here to look at the grass about a week ago. I think you can see how the heifers have enjoyed this Johnson grass. Dr. Jimmy talked about how it's really a pretty effective warm season forage, and I think that the heifers have verified that. It looks like they've stripped every bit of leaf, or nearly every bit of leaf, off of these Johnson grass plants. There's a little bit here, right? You can see a little bit of leaf there, but mainly all that's left is stem. And so we can come in here and we can cut this down, and I think I'm going to go ahead and have ask the owner to see if he can take the tops off these weeds. We just got some chicory here. The Queen Anne's lace, that's the weed with the white top to it, and then some ironweed up on that front end. But I'd like to get that down because I'm planning on using this for one of our stockpile pastures. And so I'll have the heifers eat on this another 4 or 5 days probably. I'll run the math, but have them eat on this another 4 or 5 days. I'm going to run down and look at paddock 4, see what kind of grass we have down there, try to get an estimate of the height, and then I can get an estimate of how much time we can spend on that. Could be kind of nice to take the heifers maybe at the beginning of next week, take the heifers over here to paddock 4, let them graze on that for a while, and we'll mow this down and save this. So let them eat on that for about 2 weeks, move them up to paddock 3 and paddock 2 for the rest of the fall, and then we'll stockpile paddock 1 and paddock 4 because they're the two that are closest, 2 paddocks that are closest to the barn and easiest to handle, the heifers. The barn is just right up here around the corner, and we'll need to set up our temporary working facilities to get these heifers ready for the reproductive check and start preparing them for breeding. The biggest preparation we need for breeding, though, is to stockpile the fescue and to make sure that they have really good forage entering into the breeding season. I'm over at the landowner's second set of paddocks. Remember, he had 2 paddocks here, about 7 total acres, 3 to 4 acres per paddock, and we put 5 heifers over here. This is normally what we see for grazing. Okay, this pasture's been overgrazed. Okay, it'd been doing really well until this last little go around. The really hot, dry weather has absolutely knocked the tar out of this, and these heifers are getting a little bit short on grass. Now the good thing is we've shut the gate here to this far side. We've got a little bit all over here, okay? But these heifers are either gonna have to go over with the other 23, or we're gonna have to start feeding them a little bit more, drop a little bit of hay out here, something. I'm gonna run over into that other paddock real quick. Let's take a look at the heifers. They're right here. Still in pretty good shape. You know, they haven't lost a ton of weight. You can see from body condition scores that they're still doing very well. Of course, this was a pretty good set of heifers. Just looking at the manure pile, you can tell that they're not getting as high quality now as they were. Okay, that's a manure pile of really high quality feed stuff, and this is where it's kind of drying up a little bit, and very typical of late summer kind of situations. The cattle still look good. That G137 is a phenomenal heifer. Actually, all of these heifers over here are really good. Not very many flies. Of course, we sprayed over here about a week later than what we did for the other heifers. And so they're still really enjoying the fly coverage from the fly spray. But we're definitely going to have to get these gals something to eat. Here's the other division of this paddock. Okay, and we got a little bit of grass over here. Okay, this is the other 3 total acres here in this 7-acre lot. Of course, you know, some thistle. But we got a little bit of forage here, a little bit of leafy material. But you're only looking at maybe 3 to 4 inches. And honestly, the heifers, there's more grass in here than in that other lot. You can look at them, see they're looking for something to eat. We're going to have to come up with another plan for these heifers because there's not a lot of forage here. Perfect example on these 2 farms, the difference between a good summer stocking rate and one that's a little bit over. Here on this 7 acres, we had 5 heifers, and these 5 heifers have really eaten us down, even though we've rotated between the paddocks, fertilized, everything the same. These heifers have just had a little bit less to eat. We're now at a critical situation where they don't have much. You know, we're looking at maybe an average of 4 inches of grazable product over, you know, on that half. And this half's played out, just to be honest with you. This half needs a rest. And so we're going to have to come up with an alternative plan for these heifers. So really good lesson. Well, that's about it for the day. Just an update, just so people can see where the heifers are and what's going on. Continuing to make plans. I appreciate you joining us for another episode of About a Farm. Now what?